Commander Mia Lee slid her fingers across the holographic interface, expanding a cluster of anomalous readings at the edge of the solar system. The readouts on New Horizon Station's tactical deck showed 12 massive objects decelerating as they crossed the heliopause. No human vessel could brake at those speeds. No human vessel could be that large. "Confirm these readings," she ordered, her voice steady despite the chill spreading through her chest. "Run full diagnostics on all sensor arrays." Lieutenant Zhao nodded, fingers dancing across his console. "Diagnostics initiated, Commander. But preliminary verification confirms the readings. These objects are real, and they're slowing down with purpose." Mia's gaze drifted to the observation dome beyond the tactical deck. Earth hung in the void, a blue-white jewel against the black velvet of space. In 2074, humanity had spread throughout the solar system, research stations orbiting Venus, the sprawling lunar command, bustling settlements on Mars, mining operations in the asteroid belt, scientific outposts around Jupiter's moons. But Earth remained humanity's heart, irreplaceable and vulnerable. She opened a secure channel to Lunar Command. "This is Commander Lee, New Horizon Station. I need immediate verification of unknown objects entering the system. Priority Alpha." 384,000 kilometers away, in a lecture hall beneath the lunar surface, Dr. Rafael Ortiz was discussing hypothetical alien grammar structures when his comm unit buzzed with the Priority Alpha signal. The xenolinguist frowned, glancing at the students watching him expectantly. "It appears we'll have to cut today's discussion short," he announced, closing his presentation with a sweep of his hand. "Remember to review the comparative phonemic tables for non-mammalian species conceptualization before next session." As the students filed out, Raphael checked the alert details and felt his heart skip. After 15 years at the UN's First Contact Bureau, analyzing theoretical alien communication methods, preparing humanity for a moment many believed would never come, it was happening. He grabbed his datapad and sprinted toward the transit hub. Aboard the stealth frigate Spectre, Lieutenant Anton Reyes was running combat drills in the Jupiter sector when the transmission came through. His crew exchanged nervous glances as they processed the implications. "Maintain discipline," Reyes said, his weathered face betraying nothing. "Plot an immediate course to Mars Defense Zone. Engage stealth systems." In her command center on Phobos, Captain Lena Vasquez received the alert just as she was reviewing the latest defense upgrades. Her fist clenched, knuckles white against her dark skin. "So they finally came," she whispered to herself, before turning to her officers. "Activate all defense platforms. I want every ship in the Martian fleet on high alert." The clock was ticking toward humanity's greatest test. When the first alien transmission arrived 16 hours later, it was received simultaneously at every major communication hub in the solar system. The message was simple, delivered in perfect English and 6 other Earth languages. "We are the Zephyrian Dominion. You will surrender your homeworld and all colonies by your next planetary rotation. Resistance is futile and will result in obliteration. There will be no negotiation." The UN Emergency Council convened via quantum-encrypted holographic conference. Faces grim. Representatives from Earth's nations and off-world colonies argued about how to respond. "We should at least attempt diplomatic engagement," urged the Chinese representative. "We know nothing about their capabilities." "The message leaves no room for diplomacy," countered the representative from the African Union. "They demand surrender or annihilation." Captain Vasquez, representing Mars, leaned forward, her holographic form seeming to intensify. "I've reviewed the preliminary scans. These vessels are clearly designed for warfare. Their approach vector and deceleration profile suggest tactical positioning. This is not a diplomatic mission. It's an invasion force." "What exactly are you proposing, Captain?" asked the Secretary General. "Activation of Project Redoubt," Vasquez replied without hesitation. A murmur swept through the council. Project Redoubt was a classified multi-layered defense strategy, developed in secret by a coalition of Earth's military powers and off-world colonies. A contingency plan for exactly this scenario. That would be a direct provocation, protested several representatives. They've already made their intentions clear, Commander Lee interjected from New Horizon. We're not provoking anything. We're defending ourselves. After 3 hours of heated debate, the vote was cast. Project Redoubt would be activated immediately. As the council dispersed, Dr. Rafael Ortiz was already deep in analysis of the alien message, working with AI systems to extract every possible nuance. The pristine linguistics lab on Lunar Command buzzed with activity, as specialists from every field of xenocommunication were called in. The syntax is too perfect, Rafael muttered, running a spectral analysis on the audio components. No natural language acquisition would produce this level of accuracy across multiple Earth languages. They could have been monitoring our transmissions for decades, suggested his colleague, Dr. Emiko Tanaka, a quantum physicist with expertise in information theory. Rafael shook his head. Even with advanced computational linguistics, the cultural contextual markers would be imperfect. This suggests either telepathic abilities or what? Emiko prompted. Or they've encountered humans before, studied us up close. The implication hung in the air, chilling and unwelcome. While diplomatic channels remained formally open, a response had been sent requesting clarification and dialogue. Humanity prepared for war. Lieutenant Reyes and his team on the Spectre received their orders directly from Lunar Command. Deploy quantum mines throughout the asteroid belt, creating an invisible defensive perimeter that would only activate when triggered by specific energy signatures. These are experimental weapons, the mission briefer admitted via secure channel. Based on Dr. Tanaka's theories about quantum entanglement disruption, they may not work against their shields, but it's one of our best options. Reyes nodded grimly. His stealth frigate was designed for exactly this kind of high-risk mission, slipping undetected through space to deliver deadly packages. Within hours, the Spectre and 5 other stealth vessels were dispatched to strategic points throughout the asteroid belt. The mission was grueling. To maintain stealth, the ships had to operate at minimal power, making manual adjustments in the treacherous debris fields. Each quantum mine had to be precisely calibrated and anchored to specific asteroids, creating a 3-dimensional web of destruction that could be activated remotely. During a particularly difficult placement, Reyes found himself spacewalking between jagged rocks, manually securing a mine while solar radiation battered his suit. A sudden asteroid shift nearly crushed him, saved only by his pilot's quick maneuvering of the Spectre. Getting too old for this, he muttered as he pulled himself back into the airlock, hands shaking slightly from adrenaline. Just 18 more to go, sir, his executive officer replied with forced cheerfulness. Meanwhile, Commander Lee coordinated the orbital defenses around Earth. Civilian stations were being evacuated, with essential personnel relocated to hardened facilities on the Moon or Mars. Military platforms engaged in complex maneuvers, constantly shifting positions to prevent the aliens from mapping human defensive capabilities. We need to make ourselves a harder target, Lee explained during a briefing with Earth's combined defense forces. Our sensor camouflage needs to be perfect. Every decoy must generate the exact electromagnetic and thermal signature of a real platform. Dr. Ortiz had been transferred to New Horizon to work directly with Commander Lee's team. Together with Dr. Tanaka, they analyzed every scrap of data about the approaching aliens. We've managed to intercept some of their internal communications, Rafael announced 3 days after the initial contact, dark circles under his eyes betraying his exhaustion. Their encryption is complex, but we've identified patterns that appear to be military commands. Can you decode them? Lee asked. Not exactly decode, but we can recognize repeating sequences that likely correspond to standard tactical instructions, Rafael explained, projecting a series of waveform comparisons. More importantly, Dr. Tanaka has discovered something critical about their shield technology. Emiko stepped forward, her slender frame belying her intensity. Their shield frequencies operate on a predictable cycle. It's complex, but there are microsecond transitions between shield harmonics where they're potentially vulnerable. "How certain are you?" Lee demanded. 87%, Emiko replied without hesitation. "Based on the energy fluctuations we've detected from their scout vessels, the first human casualties came when 3 science vessels near Jupiter's orbit were vaporized by alien scouts. The attack happened without warning, a clinical demonstration of overwhelming firepower. 15 minutes later, a small flotilla of human frigates engaged the scouts in the first direct confrontation between species. The battle was brief and brutal. Human railguns and fusion missiles impacted harmlessly against the alien shields. The scout vessels responded with precision energy weapons that cut through human defenses like paper. However, before the last human ship was destroyed, it managed to transmit critical sensor data back to Mars Defense Command. Their shields do indeed cycle, Captain Vasquez confirmed in an emergency council session. Dr. Tanaka's theory is correct. There are microsecond vulnerabilities. We just need to synchronize our weapons to exploit them. 27 good men and women died to get us that information, added the Admiral of Earth Space Force, his voice heavy. We need to make it count. The Zephyrian fleet continued its inexorable advance toward Mars, ignoring further communication attempts. With each passing day, more details about the enemy emerged. Their vessels were biological in appearance, smooth, almost organic curves, rather than the angular human designs. Their weapons were energy-based, capable of projecting destructive force across vast distances with pinpoint accuracy. They're not just technologically superior, Raphael observed as he studied captured footage. They're evolutionarily different. Their ships move like predators, not machines. Project Redoubt entered its final phase. The plan was audacious: transform the orbital space around Mars into a killing zone. While the aliens expected resistance, they would not anticipate the specific nature of humanity's trap. Disguised cargo vessels, actually housing massive railgun platforms, were positioned near Phobos and Deimos, Mars's moons. Debris fields were carefully arranged to force the alien fleet into predetermined corridors. Quantum communication relays were established to enable split-second coordination between all human forces. And at the heart of it all was the synchronization algorithm developed by Dr. Tanaka, which would allow human weapons to fire in perfect harmony with the microsecond vulnerabilities in the alien shields. "It's still a long shot," Lee admitted during the final strategy session. "But it's our best chance." The tension was palpable as the alien armada approached Mars. Humanity held its collective breath. On Earth, billions watched live feeds from military satellites, knowing their fate hung in the balance. In underground shelters and off-world colonies, families huddled together, praying to various gods or simply to human resilience. Commander Lee found herself stationed aboard the Mars Orbital Command, coordinating with Captain Vasquez. Despite their previous professional rivalries, the two women worked in perfect synchronization, united by purpose. "Fleet positions confirmed," Lee reported as the alien vessels entered the outer defense perimeter. "All weapons platforms ready for synchronized firing. Quantum mine network standing by," Lieutenant Reyes added from his position in the asteroid belt, where the Spectre maintained a stealth observation post. "Initiate Operation Trojan Redoubt," ordered Captain Vasquez, her voice steady. The trap was sprung. As the alien flagship entered the designated kill zone, the disguised platforms on Phobos and Deimos revealed their true nature, unleashing torrents of hyper-accelerated projectiles. Simultaneously, hidden defense satellites emerged from the debris fields, adding their firepower to the barrage. The key was timing. Using Dr. Tanaka's calculations, Each volley was precisely calibrated to hit during the microsecond transitions in the alien shield harmonics. The first salvos found their mark, punching through the flagship's defenses in a spectacular display of coordinated warfare. "Shield penetration confirmed," shouted a tactical officer. "We have breached their defenses." The alien fleet responded with furious energy blasts that vaporized several human platforms. But they had lost the element of surprise, and more importantly, they had lost their aura of invincibility. It was at this critical moment that Lieutenant Reyes activated the quantum mines. Throughout the asteroid belt, the hidden weapons detonated in a synchronized cascade, creating localized space-time distortions that disrupted the alien formation. Several smaller vessels were torn apart by the exotic physics, while others found their navigation systems compromised. "The mines are working," Reyes reported, his voice tight with controlled excitement. "Multiple hostile vessels disabled or destroyed." The battle raged for hours. Human casualties mounted as alien weapons found their targets. The orbital platforms around Phobos were vaporized one by one. Emergency channels filled with the desperate calls of dying crews. Commander Lee felt each loss like a physical blow, but kept her focus on the tactical displays. "Maintain firing synchronization," she ordered. "We cannot let them regroup." The turning point came when a team led by Cyber Officer Priya Das managed to penetrate the alien communication network. Using principles derived from Dr. Ortiz's linguistic analysis, they inserted corrupted command sequences that caused several enemy vessels to target each other. "We've compromised their tactical network," Priya reported, her young face flushed with triumph. "Their automated targeting systems are accepting our false identification parameters." In the command center, Raphael watched in awe and horror as the fruits of his academic work were transformed into weapons of war. His understanding of potential alien communication structures, once theoretical exercises for scholarly papers, now helped turn enemy weapons inward. The Zephyrian flagship, already damaged by the initial synchronized assault, found itself under fire from its own escort vessels. Its shields flickered and failed. A final barrage from the remaining human platforms broke its spine in a spectacular eruption of exotic energies. "Flagship destroyed," confirmed Captain Vasquez, her voice betraying no emotion despite the historic moment. The remaining alien vessels attempted to retreat, but found their exit vectors blocked by hidden human squadrons that had been positioned for exactly this contingency. The rout became a massacre as humanity, nearly broken, but fighting with the desperation of a species facing extinction, pressed its advantage. Within 12 hours it was over. The solar system belonged to humanity once more. The aftermath was sobering. Thousands of human lives had been lost. Several orbital facilities were completely destroyed. Mars itself had suffered collateral damage from stray energy weapons, with the Olympus settlement reporting hundreds of civilian casualties. Commander Lee stood on the observation deck of Mars Orbital Command, staring out at the debris field that had once been the alien armada. The victory felt hollow in her exhausted mind. "We should have captured at least one intact vessel," she murmured, as Captain Vasquez joined her. "There's so much we could have learned." "They didn't leave us that option," Vasquez replied. "Every crippled ship self-destructed rather than be captured. It tells us something about their psychology." Lee nodded slowly. "Pride. Technological arrogance. They never expected to lose." "It was their downfall," Vasquez agreed. "They underestimated what we were willing to sacrifice." Analysis of recovered alien technology began immediately. Dr. Tanaka led a team examining fragmentary shield generators, while Raphael focused on the vast amount of data harvested from the compromised communication network. The most significant discovery came 3 days after the battle, when Raphael's team managed to decrypt a star chart from the alien database. The implications were staggering. "They've conquered at least 17 other civilizations," he reported to the Emergency Council, projecting the map into the center of the conference room. "Each of these markers represents a subjugated world. "Are there more of them coming?" asked the Secretary General, voicing everyone's fear. "The data suggests this was their entire expeditionary force," Raphael replied. "But the Zephyrian Dominion clearly spans multiple star systems. We have to assume they'll eventually discover what happened here." "How long do we have?" demanded the Russian representative. "Based on their communication protocols, it could be years before they expect a status update from this fleet," Raphael explained. "But once they realize their armada was destroyed, yes, they will likely send a larger force." "Then we need to prepare," Captain Vasquez said firmly. "We need to understand their technology, enhance our defenses, and expand our capabilities beyond the solar system." "There's something else," Raphael added, somewhat hesitantly. "The star chart contains markers for dozens of other civilizations that haven't been conquered yet. Some appear to be more advanced than humanity." "Potential allies," Commander Lee suggested, a new light in her eyes. "Or competitors," countered Vasquez. "But either way, the galaxy just got a lot more complicated." In the following weeks, humanity began to recover and rebuild. A new sense of unity emerged from the shared trauma and triumph. Old geopolitical rivalries on Earth seemed petty in the face of cosmic threats. Resources previously devoted to internal conflicts were redirected toward strengthening solar system defenses and developing interstellar capabilities. The Stellar Beacon Project was approved by unanimous vote of the UN Council, a powerful transmission directed toward the nearest, potentially friendly civilizations identified in the alien star charts. The message contained Earth's coordinates, a basic primer on human language and culture, and most importantly, detailed information about the Zephyrian Dominion and how humanity had defeated them. "It's a risk," Raphael acknowledged, as he helped craft the linguistic components of the message. "We're announcing our presence to unknown entities. We're also offering valuable intelligence about a common enemy," Lee pointed out, "and demonstrating that the Zephyrians can be defeated. Either way, we can't hide forever," Captain Vasquez said as she authorized the beacon's activation. "Better to reach out from a position of strength than wait to be discovered." As the quantum-encrypted message streamed outward at light speed, Commander Mia Lee found herself once again on the observation deck of New Horizon Station, gazing at the blue jewel of Earth. The events of the past weeks had transformed humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. They were not alone, and they were not safe, but they had proven themselves worthy of survival. Lieutenant Reyes and his crew aboard the Spectre had been assigned to a new mission, venturing beyond the heliopause to establish early warning beacons. Dr. Tanaka led the reverse engineering efforts on captured alien technology fragments, already producing promising advances in shield harmonics. Dr. Ortiz continued his work with renewed purpose, developing communication protocols for potential first contact with non-Zephyrian species. And throughout the solar system, humanity's battered but victorious fleet maintained its vigilance, eyes turned outward toward the silent stars, ready for whatever might come next. The warning had been sent. The line had been drawn. Earth would not be conquered today, tomorrow, or ever, not without a fight that would shake the pillars of creation. In his private quarters on Lunar Command, Raphael Ortiz reviewed the final translations of the Zephyrian communications. One particular phrase had haunted him since he first decoded it, the last transmission from the alien flagship before its destruction. "Impossible, they are merely primitives." Raphael smiled grimly. Those had been the Zephyrian war marshal, Thekrul's final words, a testament to the fatal arrogance that had doomed the invasion. The aliens had possessed superior technology, overwhelming firepower, and the confidence born of 17 prior conquests. What they had lacked was humanity's desperate adaptability, its willingness to sacrifice, its capacity to unite against existential threats. They had come to subjugate Earth but had been wiped out before even reaching Mars, and in their destruction, they had unwittingly given humanity its greatest gift: knowledge of the wider galaxy, and the determination to claim its place among the stars. In her command center on Phobos, Captain Lena Vasquez finalized the new defense protocols. The battle had revealed critical weaknesses in human tactical doctrine, but also unprecedented strengths. The quantum mind technology pioneered by Dr. Tanaka was being refined and expanded. The shield frequency synchronization that had turned the tide was being incorporated into all weapon systems. "We'll be ready next time," she promised herself, studying the holographic display of the solar system, humanity's home, now proven defensible against even advanced interstellar threats. On the Spectre, Lieutenant Anton Reyes briefed his crew on their upcoming deep space mission. The mood was somber but determined. They had lost friends in the battle, witnessed horrors beyond previous human experience, but emerged victorious. "We go beyond the boundaries of our system, not just as explorers now," Reyes told them, "but as guardians. What we do in the coming months may determine humanity's fate for generations to come." The stealth frigate slipped away from Mars orbit, its advanced engines leaving barely a ripple in space-time as it accelerated toward the outer darkness. Commander Mia Lee found herself summoned to Earth for the first time in 3 years. The orbital elevator at Quito descended through clouds into a world transformed not physically, but psychologically. Streets that had been filled with panicked crowds during the invasion were now scenes of determined activity. Construction crews worked to expand defense installations. Universities buzzed with new research initiatives focused on alien technology. At UN headquarters in Nairobi, Lee was escorted to the Secretary General's office. The panoramic windows offered a view of the sprawling city, its towers gleaming in the African sun. "Commander," the Secretary General greeted her, "your actions during the crisis have not gone unnoticed." Lee nodded respectfully. "I only did my duty, like countless others." "Perhaps. But the Council believes you demonstrated qualities we now need in a more prominent position." The Secretary General activated a holographic display showing a massive vessel under construction in Earth orbit. "This is the Horizon Ascendant, humanity's first true interstellar ship, incorporating the technologies we've managed to salvage from the Zephyrian wreckage." Lee studied the schematic with professional interest. The design was revolutionary, a hybrid of human engineering principles and reverse-engineered alien technology. "We want you to command her," the Secretary General continued. "Your mission will be to establish contact with potential allies, identified in the alien database. Dr. Ortiz has already agreed to serve as your first contact specialist." The implications were staggering. Humanity was not merely preparing to defend its home. It was reaching outward, seeking its place in a suddenly expanded universe. "When do we depart?" Lee asked, already calculating the preparations needed. 6 months, came the reply. "The future won't wait, Commander. Neither can we." As Lee left the meeting, she found Raphael waiting in the antechamber, his expression suggesting he'd already been briefed. "Interstellar explorers," he said with a half-smile. "Not exactly what either of us trained for." "Are you afraid, Doctor?" she asked bluntly. "Terrified," he admitted, "but also exhilarated. Everything I've studied, everything I've theorized about, we're going to see it firsthand." Lee nodded, understanding perfectly. The same mix of dread and anticipation churned in her own stomach. "We'll need to select our crew carefully. This mission will require exceptional individuals." "I've already begun compiling recommendations," Raphael replied. "Dr. Tanaka for Science Officer, Lieutenant Reyes as Tactical Commander. Once the Spectre returns from its current mission—" "And Captain Vasquez?" Lee asked, knowing the proud Martian officer would be a valuable addition. Raphael shook his head. "She's declined. Says her place is defending Mars. Can't say I blame her. She lost her brother in the Olympus settlement attack." The reminder sobered them both. Victory had come at a terrible price. Thousands of names were being added to memorial walls throughout the solar system, each representing a life sacrificed so that billions might continue. 3 months after the invasion, Cyber Officer Priya Das made a breakthrough while analyzing recovered Zephyrian code fragments. Her team had been working around the clock to understand the aliens' quantum computational methods, hoping to strengthen human cyber defenses against future attacks. "It's not just a tactical network," she explained to Commander Lee and Dr. Ortiz during a secure briefing. "It's part of a vast interstellar communication system. We've identified protocols that appear designed to transmit consciousness itself." "You're suggesting they upload their minds?" Raphael asked, intrigued by the philosophical implications. "More than that," Priya continued. "The fragmented data suggests their entire society is interconnected through this network. Individual Zephyrians may be nodes in a distributed intelligence." "A hive mind?" Lee frowned, considering the tactical ramifications. "That would explain their communication efficiency during battle." "Not exactly a hive," Priya clarified. "There's evidence of hierarchy and individual agency. But yes, they share information and experiences at a fundamental level we can barely comprehend." "Which means," Raphael added slowly, "that any surviving Zephyrians might have witnessed their fleet's destruction through the eyes of their dying comrades." The implications hung heavy in the room. If Raphael was right, the Zephyrian Dominion wouldn't just know that their invasion force had been defeated. They would have experienced it. Their response, when it eventually came, would be shaped by shared trauma and collective rage. "We need to accelerate the Horizon Ascendant project," Lee decided. "If we're going to find allies before the Zephyrians return, we can't afford delays." On Mars, Captain Vasquez oversaw the construction of massive planetary defense arrays. The Red Planet, once the frontier of human expansion, had become the forward bulwark of Earth's defense. Lessons from the invasion were being implemented with urgent efficiency. "The shield harmonics need to be randomized," she instructed her engineering team. Dr. Tanaka's algorithms suggest the Zephyrians might adapt to fixed patterns in future encounters. "Captain," her executive officer interrupted, "we've detected unusual energy signatures from the destroyed alien flagship. It appears some systems are still partially active." Vasquez immediately ordered a quarantine zone established around the debris field. Remote drones were dispatched to investigate, transmitting images of pulsating organic-looking components amid the twisted wreckage. "It's like the ship is trying to heal itself," observed the drone operator. "Or send a signal," Vasquez countered grimly. "Prepare quantum charges. I want that wreckage completely obliterated." Her decision proved prescient. As the charges detonated, a burst of exotic energy erupted from the flagship remains. A compressed quantum signal beamed toward distant stars. Analysis suggested it contained massive amounts of data. "A final report," Raphael concluded when informed of the incident. "Or perhaps a warning to their homeworld." The timetable for humanity's preparations suddenly seemed much tighter. The Horizon Ascendant took shape with unprecedented speed. Its construction prioritized above all other projects. Resources poured in from every nation and colony, a testament to humanity's new unified purpose. The vessel incorporated the best of human innovation along with carefully integrated alien technology. Its heart was a modified Zephyrian power core, salvaged from a scout ship and reverse-engineered by Dr. Tanaka's team. Its navigation system included a partial copy of the alien star charts, offering pathways to dozens of potentially habitable systems. Its hull was reinforced with composite materials inspired by the organic metallic structure of the Zephyrian vessels. 5 months after the invasion, Commander Lee stood on the observation deck of the orbital construction facility, watching as the final components of the Horizon Ascendant were assembled. The ship was beautiful in a functional way, sleek and purposeful, with none of the ornamental flourishes that had characterized earlier generations of human spacecraft. "She'll be ready for trials next week," announced the chief engineer, pride evident in his voice. "Ahead of schedule." "And the crew?" Lee asked. All personnel have reported for final training. Dr. Ortiz is conducting cultural briefings for the contact teams. Lieutenant Reyes returned from the Heliopause mission yesterday and has taken charge of security protocols. Lee nodded, satisfied. The mission was taking shape, transforming from concept to reality with each passing day. Soon, humanity would venture beyond its solar cradle, not as conquered refugees, but as emerging players on the galactic stage. That evening, a memorial service was held at Lunar Command for those lost during the invasion. Representatives from Earth and all colonies gathered to honor the fallen. The ceremony was solemn, but not despairing, a recognition of sacrifice rather than a mourning of defeat. Commander Lee found herself standing beside Captain Vasquez, both women in formal dress uniforms adorned with the newly created Solar Defense Medallion. "Mars will be ready if they return while you're gone," Vasquez promised quietly. "I've implemented all of Dr. Tanaka's recommendations for the defense grid." "I know you'll keep them safe," Lee replied. "But hopefully, we'll return with allies. Or at least intelligence," Vasquez added pragmatically. "Even knowing the extent of their territory would be valuable." After the ceremony, Raphael approached them, accompanied by Dr. Emiko Tanaka. The physicist had lost weight during the frantic months of research, but her eyes burned with the same intellectual intensity. "I've completed the final calculations for the quantum drive," Emiko announced without preamble. "Based on the Zephyrian technology, we should be able to achieve effective, faster-than-light travel by creating localized space-time corridors." "In English, Doctor," Vasquez requested with a hint of impatience. "We can punch temporary holes in reality," Emiko clarified, a rare smile crossing her features, "reducing journey times between stars from centuries to months." "And you're certain it's safe?" Lee asked, knowing the question was relative in the context of experimental interstellar travel. "As certain as I can be without actual testing," Emiko replied honestly. "The theoretical models are sound, the simulations are promising, but we're venturing into unknown territory." "Commander, story of our lives lately," Raphael commented dryly. The launch of the Horizon Ascendant took place exactly 6 months after the Zephyrian invasion attempt. The massive vessel departed Earth orbit amid cheers from billions watching via global broadcasts. For the first time in human history, a ship bearing Earth's hopes would travel beyond the solar system with the realistic prospect of returning within the crew's lifetime. Commander Lee stood on the bridge, surveying her command team with quiet pride. Dr. Raphael Ortiz at the communication station, already monitoring the vast emptiness for any sign of intelligent transmissions. Lieutenant Anton Reyes at tactical, his experienced eyes constantly evaluating potential threats. Dr. Emiko Tanaka at the science console, fingers dancing across interfaces that controlled technologies she had helped create from alien wreckage. And surrounding them, a crew of 300, the best minds and most capable hands humanity could offer, representing every nation and colony of a newly unified species. "Quantum drive standing by," reported the navigation officer. "Coordinates locked for the Tau Ceti system." Lee took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history pressing against her shoulders. "Engage," she ordered. Space twisted around the Horizon Ascendant, as Emiko's theoretical holes in reality became manifest. The stars blurred, stretched, and then vanished as the ship entered the quantum corridor, humanity's first step into a larger universe. Back in the solar system, defenses continued to strengthen. On Mars, Captain Vasquez supervised the activation of a planet-wide shield grid based on modified Zephyrian technology. In the asteroid belt, Lieutenant Reyes's protégés deployed new generations of quantum mines, creating a defensive perimeter that would challenge any future invaders. On Earth, nations that had once aimed weapons at each other now directed their resources toward common protection. The stars beckoned with both promise and threat. Humanity advanced toward them, not in arrogance, but in determined self-preservation. They had faced extinction and emerged victorious against overwhelming odds. They had learned that the cosmos was filled with dangers, but also with possibilities. They had come to invade Earth, but had been wiped out before reaching Mars. And in their defeat, the Xiperians had inadvertently launched humanity toward its cosmic destiny. The species that had once huddled in caves, gazing fearfully at the night sky, now reached for the stars with newfound confidence. Whatever waited beyond the solar system, allies or enemies, wonders or horrors, humanity would face it together. United by crisis, tempered by fire, driven by the most fundamental instinct of all, survival. As the Horizon Ascendant emerged from its quantum corridor near Tau Ceti, Commander Lee gazed at the alien star blazing on the main view screen. "Scan for artificial signals," she ordered. "Let's find out who's home." The new chapter of human history had begun,